Hello, First Ascendant fans. mrgeorgeremus here with another build guide for you guys. This is specifically for Valby to be used in the Axion planes. You can use it elsewhere though. It will include the new trigger mods, the Arche tuning board, the modules, and all the goodies that we're going to use for damage. On the screen, I'm going to have some gameplay of the build being used actively in the Axion planes, all solo, no group play, even though it does work even better in group play because you have some teammates to help you with the damage, because Axion planes does not scale with how many players there are, so it's the same challenge whether there's one or four of you. So, kicking off the build, you may notice there are no HP mods. I do have two other builds that will help utilize HP should you need it. If you follow everything to a T, you should have about 8,000 HP. A lot of enemies can overwhelm that if you're not careful. Uh, a lot of enemies some of the bosses can actually one-shot you if you're really don't have everything put together properly, but we'll go over those steps as we get there. To start off with the modules, we're going to talk about how we're going to use her Transcendent mod, Supply Moisture. This will give us a bunch of crit damage and crit rate on her skills and her firearms, which is going to be important for two reasons. So to go with this, we are going to run all four crit mods: emergency measures, front lines, skill insight, and skill concentration. With this, we are going to achieve a 100% crit rate and the most crit damage as possible. We are going to use for cooldown, we're going to use both Nimble Fingers and MP conversion. Those two are pretty common in builds, as well as focus on non-attribute for some damage and cooldown, and focus on fusion for the same reason. Now, for more damage, we're going to run Decimator. When you defeat an enemy inflicted by debuffs, skill power modifier goes up 5% per stack for 10 seconds. This just stays active as long as you keep getting kills. All of Valby's skills will be putting a debuff on enemies, so every kill that you get using her skills will feed this, making our skills stronger. We are only going to run one range mod. That might seem weird, but we are going to get pretty close to the max expansion range, so you don't need more than this with the setup that we're going to run. If for some reason you don't feel comfortable not running an HP mod, simply switch out Decimator for increased HP. This will almost double your health, actually. It puts you about 14,000 HP, and you will notice your survivability go up. And if you are still not comfortable with running just the 1 HP mod, instead of running 2 HP mods, I would recommend you switch out Decimator for increased HP, and then you switch out Emergency Measures for HP Collector. You'll still have 14,000 HP, but this will, every 2 seconds you're getting a kill, you're going to be healing 9% of your health, and it adds up quicker than you think. This, to me, is the more optimal strategy for survivability rather than running 2 HP mods. Now, when it comes to the new trigger mods, you actually realistically have two options here. You have Death by 1,000 Cuts, which when you keep casting, you get an X amount of stacks based off the type of skill that you use. And then once the stacks are met, Rays of Light fall down and do some damage to all the enemies. It's good. I'm not saying it's not good, but I do think Power Beyond is the very clear choice between the two for this build. Power Beyond is when you use your damage over time skills, which for us, it's basically going to be our 1. It'll gain stacks. Once you get to 4 stacks, it's going to tow all the enemies, and it is actually really strong. You will also get some skill power from this, and it'll also reduce the attack of some of the enemies should they survive. The interesting thing about this is it will tow the large champions that spawn in the middle of missions. So this is actually a really strong mod for solo play because it can keep enemies occupied for you, giving you a chance to recover should you need that opportunity. On the arcade tuning board at level 40, this is what you're going to want to use. It is going to give you some 2 HP things here. You're going to get MP recovery modifier from here, which is insanely important. If there was something I could add to this build, it would be some better MP regeneration. You're going to follow this path, get the skill power, get the skill cost down, also extremely important. You're going to get the skill range. You're only going to get the first 2. We are not going to get this third one. You're going to build this path up, grabbing the skill power along the way, the max MP, some more skill power. We're going to get the skill cooldown because the more we can cast, the stronger this is going to be. You're going to get some more max MP. The mutant cell we're going to run is Final Preparations. This is for her 4th. You don't use it super often, but you are going to want to use it. It's really strong. It's going to do even more damage. When you pop her 4 for 15 seconds, you're going to get almost 10% more skill power. You're going to get some more skill effect range, but unfortunately for us, that's going to overflow her range, so we're not getting a huge benefit from that. It does have a 30-second cooldown, which is fine because you won't be like non-stop using her 4. You're going to just get the skill critical hit damage off to the left right here. You do not need these crit rates to reach the 100% crit ratio that we're aiming for with supply moisture. The second option here is for if you chose to use the third option for this build, which is increased HP with HP collector. There are some changes here. We lose the mutant cell. You gain a little bit of range. This isn't super crazy important, but the big difference is we go for the crit rate. This will put you at about 95% crit rate while using supply moisture. Just 5% less of perfect. You will not notice it. You'll see a white number every once in a while, but you're still going to be clapping everything just the same. Now for the important utility stuff. The reactor that we're going to be running is a fusion non-attribute. The mounting is very important that you have scout rifle. It is somewhat important that you have a launcher mounting as well. We are going to go for skill cooldown for as much skill spam as possible and skill critical hit damage. For the component set, we're going to go with Enlightened Mage. We are going to use the core's max HP and then the defense. We got max HP and MP recovery out of combat on our sub rolls, both extremely important. Sensor, we got, again, it's going to be max HP and defense for all 4 of these, by the way, so I'm not going to go over that every time. But we got max MP and MP recovery in combat as our 2 sub rolls, extremely important. We have sensor, we have defense and MP recovery and modifier. Again, extremely important for this all to work together properly. You're going to have some really hard MP problems if you don't have these 3 set up this way. On your processor, though, I have max shield and item acquisition distance increase. Those, not very important. Now, the reason we run Enlightened Mage over some other skill sets is this gives you skill power, and if long as you're spamming skills, it's going to give you 84% more non-attribute skill power, which is just more damage. And you're going to be using skills the entire time, that you're going to have this up pretty constantly. It's only up for 15 seconds at a time, every 3 stacks. It does have to be refreshed, but you will not notice the downtime if you just keep spamming. It's a very powerful component set. Alright, from the components to the weapons, the scout rifle we'll be using is called Blue Beetle. If you do not know what this does, the unique ability on this is when you cast a fusion skill, we do not care about the second half of this, you get the unique ability Arche Energy. This will, for 10 seconds, but you can keep spamming this to keep this up, your skill critical hit rate will go up 115%. That is a huge part of this build to make this work. So if much as you can while you're casting skills, keep this in your arms. The other weapon that we're going to use is the Exterminator. This is the new Season Pass weapon. This isn't a requirement, but if you build into this, it does make taking out some of the champions easier, and it makes taking out the Volga ships easier, and it just meshes really well with supply moisture because it gives you more crit damage and crit rate. And if you build this thing for crit damage and crit rate, it just all melds together wonderfully. I've had a blast using it. Now I'm going to give you guys a quick demonstration on how supply moisture works, as well as the new trigger mod, Power Beyond, so you can kind of see what you're looking for in combat. By casting her 1, you are now standing in water, and her passive ability in the bottom right hand corner is glowing blue. This means you're getting the increased critical hit rate and critical hit damage on both your skills and firearms. Now that I'm no longer standing in it, you can see that it's not glowing blue anymore. Now Power Beyond, just to show you what this is going to look like when it triggers, each time you cast your skill, it goes up once. Once you reach the max stacks, everybody got sucked together. And in combat, this looks way crazier, because you can see enemies fly all across the place just to get to the tow zone. Alright guys, that's all I have for this Valby build video. If you found it helpful at all, please drop a subscribe and like the video. All that will help with the algorithm and help the channel grow. I appreciate all the support that I get from you guys. We do stream on Twitch about half the week. I have a link down below, as well as a Discord with a community for questions and getting to know other fellow First Ascendant fans. We are a good group of people. So I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a great day.